Welcome back, everybody. This week, we're going to have an interview with Zvi. Zvi, take a second to say hello to the audience.
Hi, everyone.
All right. So glad to have you on the show. With that said, if you could kick us off with a one-word open, give us that one word right now that describes how you're feeling in this moment.
Pumped.
Pumped. Perfect. Now what I want you to do is take the next 3 to 5 minutes, talk to us about your business, about your background, who you are, and what your business typically does and who helps.
Hey, Tony. So I'm Zvi Schreiber. I'm talking to you from Jerusalem, Israel today. My background is as a software engineer, a PhD in computer science, and a software entrepreneur. I've created software companies for most of my career. I got into the whole area of international shipping and freight because in 2010, 2011, I was managing a hardware company which made electronic power supplies for lighting. And we were producing that in south of China, like a lot of electronics. And every day we were arranging shipping by air and ocean from China to the US, from China to Europe. And as a customer, as a company which was doing import and export, I was shocked to discover how old-fashioned that entire industry is. It can take days just to get a price quote. And I was shipping from China to US. I'm not the first guy to ship something on that particular trade lane. That's a very major trade lane. And yet I felt like I was the first guy doing it. Just getting the price quote took time. The invoice didn't match the price quote. They told me it would take 20 days, but it took 30 days. A very old-fashioned digital experience, lots of human interaction and mistakes and delays. And so after I had the opportunity to sell that company to GE Lighting in 2011, I started Freightos in 2012. And the idea is to be like Booking.com, or Amazon for international freight, to make international shipping smoother, just like international travel has become smoother. Well, during COVID, not so much, but in general, in the last 20 years, international travel has become very transparent, very online, self-service. I'm trying to do the same thing for the international travel or international shipment of goods. Make it digital, make it transparent, make it easy.
Awesome. I can't wait to dive into it deeper, and thanks for giving us the high-level overview. So with that said, can you share with our audience a recent win that you encountered in your business? And when you're walking us through that, tell us what you learned from it.
Well, a recent thing which affected a lot of people in our business, but also many of your listeners were personally affected by this, was the backup in the supply chain. There was a huge line of ships, still is, outside Los Angeles and Long Beach, not too far from where you're located, Tony, which is the biggest gateway for goods coming into the United States. And so that was all backed up. And people just didn't know what price they would pay to ship goods. They didn't know when it would arrive, and that was causing a shortage of goods, during the holiday shopping season. So that was a great example of what happens when the shipping industry is still, despite our efforts at Freightos, we're making progress, but still a lot of the industry is analog and human interaction, and people are not seeing real-time prices and real-time availability. People are booking a container but don't really know which ship it would be on, or they're booking air cargo but they're not getting instant confirmation of which specific flight it would be on. So that was a very real example which affected many American consumers and in other countries as well, of where the fact that international freight, international shipping, the fact that it's done the old-fashioned way really, really hurts the consumer and hurt the economies. But now we're able, first in air and starting in ocean as well, to really give real-time visibility. So you know exactly which price you're getting, which flight it's on, when it will take off, when it will land. And that makes everything a lot smoother and cheaper and more predictable.
Excellent. Thank you. What about the other side of that? Can you tell us something that you would consider a recent failure that you went through and then you got through it and you're on the other side, and tell us what you learned from it too?
Well, I don't want to say a failure per se, because luckily we've been succeeding, but there've been a lot of delays. Some things have taken longer than expected. Some things have taken shorter. But one of the big frustrations for us was that first in air cargo till 2018, 2019, we didn't have a single airline who could allow us to get real-time prices or make electronic bookings for air cargo. So for many years, that was a frustration, and it felt like a failure. But it was really a matter of patience. Eventually, in 2018, 19, 20, 21, we got more and more airlines, and now we've got 30% of the world capacity of airlines is on our platform and can be booked electronically. So eventually, through patience and perseverance, we were able to turn that around. And similar situation in ocean, which is not yet fully resolved, but we've been waiting for many years for ocean liners, containerized ocean liners, to give us, again, electronic access, real-time prices, real-time booking. People outside the industry are amazed to hear, we all know that these container ships bring 90% of the products you buy in a store in the United States are coming in one of those containers. So if you're not from the industry, you're probably assuming that that is a highly digitalized, sophisticated industry, but it's not. And that's been a frustration for many years. That's very few, if any, ocean liners were able to give us real-time price, real-time confirmation of a booking of a container on a ship, and which is unbelievable. Some of these ships can hold 18,000 containers, and every one of those 18,000 containers is booked with some kind of manual process. But that's starting to change. So we're finally seeing some of the ocean liners give us an electronic connection where we can get real-time visibility and bookings. So again, it felt like a failure for many years, but it was really just a matter of patience and perseverance, and now it's turning around.
Awesome. I think we all learned a little bit of like you said, if you persist and your perseverance in there, you can get right through it. So that's awesome of you to share with us. So let's talk about thought leadership. Can you share with our audience, your take on the top 3 attributes for when you look at a thought leader, what do you think are the top 3 attributes that make them an effective thought leader?
Top 3. I think it's a matter of, on the one hand, you need to be bold, but on the other hand, you need to be modest, right? So that's an interesting balance. And then maybe the third one would be you need to be honest. So I think those are the 3. And I've learned this a lot in both directions, as we went through Freightos. And when we started Freightos, I was coming from outside the industry and telling ocean liners and airlines and freight forwarders how to do their business. And that was very scary for me. And it took me some years to have the confidence to understand, yes, these guys have been doing it sometimes for 100 years, but we actually, because of our experience with digital and with how to do things electronically, we can be bold enough to tell them, you can do this a better way. Just like retail went online and passenger travel went online, international shipping can go online. So you need to have the boldness to be willing to sell a significant vision, even to people who are experts, and you're coming from outside the industry. Now, having said that, while you need to be bold, you must absolutely not be arrogant. I mean, these guys have a lot of expertise and a lot of issues and a lot of concerns which are legitimate. So you've got to balance the fact that you've got the self-confidence to come with a brand new idea and present it to these experts, but you've got to balance that with modesty and listen to them and listen to their concerns and listen to their input and adjust your ideas, to the reality of the industry. And then in the end, I think honesty is very important. If you tell them, what are the upsides of digitalization, but also what are the downsides and what are the concerns and which are legitimate, and how long it's going to take. You tell people, I told my investors, I told my customers, this is not an overnight thing. Freightos has been going for 10 years already, and we still have a long way to go. We've made a lot of progress, but we've got a long way to go as well. So I've tried to be very honest as much as I can with my team, with my investors, with my customers, that we're embarking on a journey which has a lot of huge potential, huge complexity, and it's a marathon, not a sprint. And if you want to work with Freightos or you want to work in Freightos, you need to be signing up for multiple years and for a change which will take some time and eventually will have a huge impact on world trade.
That's really awesome. Thank you. Let's talk about company culture. Can you briefly tell us what you think makes a good, maybe a top 2 things that when you look at a company and you go, wow, they have an awesome culture, and then if you peel the layers back, you go, okay, here are the 2 attributes. What are those 2 things?
Attributes. Yeah, I think again, I think honesty and slash openness is number one. People need to feel that you're as the leader, you're being honest with them about what to expect and what the problems are and what's good and what's bad. So, and I find that if I hate any kind of politics. I try very hard to just say it as it is and hope that that trickles down, and that we're now a company of 300 people, so there's several layers, and I hope that everyone is honest and open. Not that we can be open about everything. Some things have to be kept confidential by their nature, but as much as we can, we just say it as it is. I think that's sort of super important. And I think it has to be all about the mission. It's never about the ego. So it's never about what's good for me as CEO or what's good for any of the team members, but really trying to create a culture that we're trying to change an industry. We're trying to modernize international shipping, which is a vastly important industry. And that's what matters. And at any time we should think, what can we do to succeed in our vision of making international trade smoother.
That's awesome. I love what you're up to. It's a big, tall order, a tall task, so to speak. So yes. I'm glad that you answered the call and you're creating some change. That's really exciting to hear and see. So here we are towards the end. If you could give out your social handles, your website address, because our listeners have had a good opportunity to find out more about you, more about your company. Now, if they want to go and research and find out more online, go ahead and give out your website address and social handles.
Sure. So the website is freightos.com. That's Freightos.com, freightos.com, as you might expect. My name is Zvi Schreiber. That's spelled, Zvi is spelled ZVI or ZVI. And Schreiber is SCHREIBER. And I'm pretty much the only Zvi Schreiber out there with any kind of profile. So if you search for me on Google or Wikipedia or LinkedIn, it's very easy to find me and connect.
Awesome. And here we are at the end. If you could give us a one-word close and tell us why you're choosing to sign off with it, that'd be great.
Shipping. Shipping is, I was supposed to say how I feel maybe, but I'm feeling shipping. It's the biggest industry you don't think of. And every day, just look, Tony, at the labels on the clothes you're wearing, the computer you're wearing. I bet it's, I bet almost all of it is imported. That picture behind you, which is beautiful, is probably imported. The tiles on the ceiling are probably imported. So we don't even think about, how every single thing that we use and buy, the vast majority of them are imported. Even if it's made in the US, the parts are imported or the materials are imported. So this is just a vastly important industry, which is still a little bit old-fashioned, but we need to change that, which hugely impacts every one of us many, many times a day.
Very true. Well, I wanted to personally say thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure to have you on here. Looking forward to catching up with you in the future to see what you're up to.
Thanks for having me on, Tony. It's been fun.